Okay, we want to see the framing system now that I have my bond in, and I use a filter to highlight my bond. So that's the boundary. Maybe not. Maybe the boundary is out to there because that's an overhang. So I'll fix it later. So I'm going to put in some steel beams across here and across here. And then I'm going to frame front to back from here. But I have cantilevers here on the sides. So this guy cantilevers 2 feet or some distance. And the same thing over here. This guy cantilevers this way. So I figure two-thirds and 1/3. So 2/3 back and 1/3 overhang. So I put in some reference planes here where my framing is going to have to change directions, and my floor joist will go side to side and side to side to handle that cantilever. And I'll do a quick tutorial on cleaning that up later. All right, so let's put in our steel beams first of all. So we go to structure, and we go over to beam. Now I have all kinds of framing in here, but I want this structural engineer will tell me what the real size is. For now, I'll use what came with Revit. And I'm going to bring my steel beam all the way across to there. All right. Now, did I pay attention to the elevation? Let's take a look at that. Okay. So my elevation here is the reference to the first floor, and my Z offset is -1 foot 1.5, which makes sense. Let's take a look at that section through there. That's section 1. So that would be this section. So we should be able to see that steel beam. And sure enough, I have my floor, my 3/4 inch plywood, which is 3/4 of an inch. I have my 2x12 floor joists, which are 11 1/4. So there's a foot. I'm going to put a 2x6 sill plate on top of there. So that's another 1.5 inches. So I did luck out here. I already put the dimension in there of, got to click on that to see the properties of that, of -1 foot 1.5. So the steel beam got put in the correct location, elevation wise. And I'll bring it across to there. It's going into the basement. Of course, we will put beam pockets in there for that. So I'm going to put another one here. So how could I do that best? Well, probably just to draw another one in structure, beam. Okay. And then I'm going to, I've put my reference planes in there where I want the center of the steel beams to be. So we're good with that, and I can drag it over. All right, then I want another set of steel beams here, and then here. Obviously, it won't go through the stairs. So let's put another steel beam here. It'll be 12 by 26. Oh, let's see, structure, beam, 12 by 26 right here. And it should stop somewhere around here. All right. You can always go back in and put the, I'm not paying attention to the length of the steel beam exactly. But I'm getting my steel beam put in there. And then structural beam. And we'll put the other side of it over here. When I get to my details, I'll worry about that exactly. So I think that makes sense. That's going to go to there. Yeah, all right, so that looks good. So I will save that. And then let's put in some structure now. So, all right, so now we're putting in a beam system. So let's see what we have. I have dimensional number 2 by 10. I want them to be 2 by 12. So let's change that to 2 by 12. The spacing is 16 inches on center, which is good. And let's pay attention to the elevation from this level Yeah, it should be -3/4. Okay, so I'm ready to sketch the system. I'll just do a rectangle because I know I'll have to fix that. Let's do a rectangle. And I didn't bring that all the way up, so that's going to be an issue. But I can fix that, not to worry. And this one I can tell is going to go right there. That's my reference plane. I went to the reference plane, but I didn't extend it far enough out there so that I could snap to something. So I'll do it now. I'll say extend. These are my floor joists. They go all the way to the inside face of the bond, which I use a filter to turn it to red. And I came all the way to this side of the steel beam. So I think we're okay. Let's say, okay. And all right, look at that. They came in at red also, kind of pops it out there. I don't want to see that. So VG, it's an annotation category. Let's go down to structural framing, I think, we're guessing here. Structural framing tags. I don't think I want to see that. So let's say okay and see what happens. Yeah, I don't need to see that. But look what happened. It's going in the wrong direction. So to fix that, I need to grab that structural system. And I've always found that the easiest way to grab that system is simply to go over to the section, this section that's cutting through there, and I can grab that little dash line right at the top. And I'm going to say, edit the boundary. And it's saying, well, what plan do you want to look in? Doesn't matter. What plan I look in, I should be able to see it, I think. Yep, sure can. And so this is what I'm concerned about are these double lines here. That's showing me the span direction, and I want the span direction to go this way. So I simply come up and say beam direction and click on that line. And those double lines appear here now. So when I say okay, what's going to happen is that structural framing system will go from front to back. I hope. Let's see what happens. Yes, it did. Okay, so now let's do the next set. Same thing, everything's all set up. So structure, beam system, sketch it, and we'll draw that rectangle again. Now this time, let's go from here down to here. All right, now this time we'll pay attention to the framing direction, which is that way. Generally, Revit's going to pick the first line that you drew as its direction. So this is a rectangle, so pick that one out, change the beam direction to here. Looks good. I think all the parameters and constraints are set up correctly. Let's see what happens. Sure enough. Now, this is an issue here. I'll have to move that over. I'm trying to get my framing in right now. So let's do the third one, structure, beam system. All right. And this time I'm going to draw the lines because I know it's going to go from here to here. And then it's got to come up and hit this point. And then come over to here. And then come down. Oh, it looks like I missed it a little bit. I don't usually worry about that because I know I can come back in and clean it up with my align tool. And this is from the previous tutorial or demonstration. I had my end offset was not set to 0. So no problem there. I can clean that up sometime in the future, but it shouldn't be affecting, well, it might affect here. So I'll just come down. Like I say, I don't have to be all that concerned about the accuracy here because I have my align tool. I can just go back in and align it now. So it's right there, which is where I want it to be. And then I'll see if I can pick this one. I'm looking for the line. That looked good. Again, I got that issue with that slight offset. So I won't worry about it. Let's see if I can pick this line. Yep, I can. All right, so far so good. Looks like my end extension was a little bit more than I thought on these, which is not good. What am I doing here? Yeah, I don't want to go this far. I want to come from here to here. So here I am babbling away, not paying attention to what I should be paying attention to. So we'll come across to here. And this is why the accuracy of my bond is important, because my framing is going right into that. And it's not going that far. So again, babbling away, not paying attention. I've got to stop it here. So let's line this guy up and see if that worked. Yep, that did. Okay. And then I need a line there. Because again, we have this. And then I want to come across there. All right. So, wait, I don't try to sweat that, because I know what's going to happen now is I'm going to click on this, come down to the eyeglass and say isolate category. So I can clean up the mess that I made there pretty simply when I have the ability to only see my magenta lines. So you can see why I used the align tool, and here was an error on my part, and then we'll just, oops. I still call it fillet. Okay, unjoin those elements, escape. I want to delete these guys because I put them in. All right, let's pay attention to the direction of the framing. That's incorrect. So up here, beam direction, boom. I think we're okay. I'm going to hit the green check mark. If this disappears, then I've got an enclosed entity. If it doesn't, Revit's going to give me an error message, and I'll be able to see, because it changes the color where there's a problem. So let's see what happens. There's an error message, and here, right there, we can see. So I will continue. I can see that that needs some attention right there. Here and here. Trim, extend, fillet. Now, again, zoom in there so that I can see if there's an error. It should pop up. It'll show me where it is and say, okay. And it disappeared. So that means that it's accepted that as a closed entity, put my system in. I will restore, and look at that. Now there's my framing. And really, these guys should be sistered up against each other. So now I'm going to have a system that comes in here, front to back, and a system that comes in here, front to back. So let's do that. Beam, oops, no, structure, beam system. Sketch it. And let's see, I'm drawing lines. Hoping that everything made sense there in terms of the constraints and the parameters. I didn't realize how many times I missed that. I thought I caught it pretty early, the error, and changed it, but in the other tutorial where I had that extension, it still works for the inside. We'll come up to here. Let's have a look. Again, the first line I drew was this one, so Revit thinks those are the horizontal double lines in there. These are the vertical double lines that I want to show my framing. Let's say, okay, again, error, there's an error. So I will come down here, isolate the category. Oops. Select this, go to the eyeglasses. Select this. The eyeglasses, isolate category. What's wrong here? Something's wrong. It's not letting me isolate the category here. There we go. All right. And here I can see it's a slight error. disappears. It's good. Okay, then back to the eyeglass and say reset the temporary. So there's my framing. I've got to put framing here, and framing over here. So let's put a beam system in, sketch it, and draw lines again. And my first line going across this way is going to define the direction. So I'll have to pay attention to go back and fix that. And here, across. What I'm trying to do here is define the boundaries of my structural system, and Revit will use those boundaries to put in the actual system. And I can go anywhere because I know I'm going to use my trim extend. So I went beyond. I didn't try and match it because I'm going to trim extend that. Let's see what, whoops, almost. Beam direction is this way. Okay, yeah, we'll say okay. And haha, 2 to go. All right, and then I bring my structure beam system, sketch it myself, although maybe this one we can do a rectangle. Save a little bit of time here. All right, I'm coming all the way down to here with it. Now let's see if I pick the right first line. Double lines go that way. I like what I'm seeing. Let's say okay and see what happens. Look at that. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing over here. Structure, beam system, sketch. And we'll try that rectangle again. Let's go from here. Oh, let's click rectangle, though, did I? All right, so let's go from here down to here. Pay attention to the double lines. There they are, looking good. There we go. Now I'll put in some extra. Individually, I'll put some extra in here. And let's show you how to move this. Okay, so I want to grab this system and move it so that they're right next to each other, because that's how the carpenters would do it. So now I can come in here and grab that dash line. I don't know which one it is though. So what I'm going to do is grab this section, and this is my depth of field. Oh geez, I can't see that part of it. That's a new clipping, I believe. Not quite sure where to go for that. Let's pause this for a second and I'll come back. Okay, what I did was I went down to my clipping, far clipping, and I had it set for no clip. So I simply said clip with line, and now I have my view range here. And the view range is confusing me because it's going too far. I don't know which system I'm selecting. So if I go down to here, now I won't be able to see that in the background, and the one that I select will be the one that I want, which is this one. And I'm going to say, I've selected it. I'm going to say move, and I'll move it from where to where? Well, I want to move it from here to there. See if it moves everything. Yes, it did. Beautiful. And now let's look down here. That looks pretty good. That was a fluke. And then this one, I want to select it. So I'm going to grab this guy again and just come down and make sure that my depth of field, my dash line, is not showing me anything back here, so I won't be confused in my section, which again is right here. I don't have to go I don't have to right click and say go to view because my sections have 2 sections and they're always open. Okay, so we're gonna grab that little dash line. It's easiest for me to grab it in the sections. And then I'm going to say move. I'm going to click that tab. Now this is the active one. I'm going to move it from where to where. Okay, modify. I'm going to select that and say, well, maybe move the tab first and then say move. Let's see, yeah, let's move this guy from here to here. That's a big move. And it didn't do it. It looks good. Because what it did move, it moved. See, that's an example of Revit does what we tell it to do, not what we think. It's not your son or your daughter or your significant other. It doesn't do what we think we told it to do. It does exactly what we tell it to do. And what I told it to do was I selected this system over here because I was selecting this. So let's go over here now and we'll select this guy. And let's click the tab first and then say move. Now I have to move these. Let's see if that's going to work. Nope. That's the beam, so that didn't do it. Let's come back here. This is what I'm trying to select. And there it is. Okay. I'm going to hit that tab and say move. All right, so that didn't work again. So back to here, grab that. I'm going to say move. Then I'm going to come over and hit that tab, which would activate this. This is embarrassing. Let's see now. There, I've selected that system because I can't see anything beyond that. So I'm definitely selecting that system. I want to move it. Okay. And I'm going to click over here to move. This is the one I wanted to move anyway. So that's, oh boy, not the best demonstration, but right. I'm trying to select this system. I should be selecting it here. This tab, move. Trying to move that system over. All right. I've selected the correct system. I'm telling it that I want to move it. It's letting me select over here. So I hit this tab, which then makes this the active. Why is that not doing it? All right. Well, I succeeded in everything else, but not in that one. And I'll have to figure that out, why that one didn't work. And maybe in another tutorial I'll talk about it. But anyway, got my structural system in there. So I did my 3D framing view here, so it's just so you could see what we did. And I'll have to come in and beef these up a little bit, try to fix that a little bit, beef this up, because there would be more than one 2x12 coming across here for this to meet into. Looks pretty good. All right, so here you go. This is my rendering from Autodesk. I like to do these renderings kind of like Christmas, like say, you know, it's a nice present from Autodesk real quickly. An opportunity to look at what it looks like in almost picture form, photograph form. But it's nice because it shows me, I remember that I have to change this, but it shows me also that I need to do a little bit of extra framing over here. And clearly I need to do some extra framing over here. So a few minutes of sitting back and taking a look at exactly what I've done helps me to proceed. And I hope that helped you.